of animal production. We are having a growing demand for food and fiber, and by working with animals, more efficient animals, we can also we are going to have an increased profitability in the enterprise, and also it has been indicated that more efficient animals that can emit less methane, so we can work with feed efficiency as a mitigation strategy for greenhouse gases. Also, if we are working with more efficient animals, we can think that we are being more efficient and responsible in the use of environmental resources. And finally, feed efficiency, it is a trait that has an heritability that allow us to breed more efficient animals, so it can be included in a breeding program. On the other hand, in many areas of the world, like in Uruguay, animals are all the year round outdoors, grazing native grasslands, subjected to the high variation in quantity and quality of the feed. Those animals also are subjected to a variable climatic conditions and challenged for several diseases like gastrointestinal nematode. In that context, not only feed efficiency is relevant, also resilience. It is an important factor in order to maintain a high level of animal welfare and production. A little bit more of the background. If we are talking about more efficient sheep, it has been indicated that more efficient sheep can present less in vivo back fat, so that can affect the body reserves of the animal and the resilience capacity. On the other hand, some other works have reported no differences in back fat between more efficient and less efficient sheep or fleece weight. I mentioned fleece weight because it is an important factor in Uruguay, an important trait in sheep production in Uruguay. And also it has been reported that under restricted intake, no differences on dry matter intake has been found between less and more efficient sheep. However, a better performance of more efficient sheep was reported in terms of body weight and average daily gain, but with less fat. Regarding reproduction, in beef cattle, similar or less reproduction has been reported in more efficient sheep. I would like to share with you that the animals that we have been working belong to a merino genetic Uruguayan nucleus that has been strongly selected for decreasing fiber diameter, fecal count, and increasing fleece weight and body weight. If we are taking into account the resource allocation theory, one can argue that animals subjected to a strongly selection for high production, and in parallel, they are producing or farming in a challenging environment. If we add feed efficiency to the equation, those animals can be strongly challenged. So our hypothesis was that more efficient use will present poorer reproductive performance under extensive grazing systems. So the objective of the work was to evaluate the productive and reproductive performance of use with contrasting residual feed intake measured when they were land, so in their first year of life. We work with 261 merino ewes belonging to 2 cohorts. They, as I told you, belong to the Merino Genetic Information Nucleus in Uruguay. They were managed as a single flock, except in 2 moments of the year, in late gestation and early lambing, and they were managed under commercial conditions. As I told you, they were grazing native grasslands and they were kept outdoors all the year around. They were born in the spring. They were weaned 3-4 months later. The residual feed intake was measured during the first year of life. They were shorn with 13 months when they were 13 months old. They were mated at the following autumn, shorn during pregnancy. They were lamb when they were 2 years old and weaned 3 or 4 months later. In 2 moments of their life, they were we give them to them an improved nutrition with concentrates or supplements before mating. This is a short flushing, and then during late gestation and lambing with improved pastures and supplements. We measure the residual feed intake. It is the fixed effect in the model. Then body weight, body condition score in different moments of the year, the fleece weight and fiber diameter in both shearings, fertility, prolificacy, lambing percentage, and lamb production of the first after the first mating. In terms of the model, body weight, fleece weight, and lamb production were analyzed with a general linear model that includes residual feed intake group, the year, and the pregnancy rank. The pregnancy rank for those traits measured after the scanning. Then for fertility, we analyzed the data set with the same model, but with binomial distribution. And in the case of prolificacy and lambing percentage, we use a Poisson distribution, but with the same model. Regarding the residual feed intake test, the animals were evaluated for 60 days. The first 14 days were for acclimatization, when we tagged the animals, drenched them, and they were accustomed to the facilities and the feed. And then for 42 days, we measured the daily body weight, the feed intake, and at the end of the period, we evaluated the rib area and the back fat. I would like to comment that the feed was a forage, was loose and haylage with a high quality. And the model that we use for residual feed intake included age, the pen, and the trial, the average daily gain of the animals, and the mean metabolic body weight. As I told you, these animals belong to a larger population. I am sharing with you a figure where you can see the association between predicted feed intake and observed feed intake. In the red dots are the animals considered less efficient, so they have a higher residual feed intake. And in the green dots, we can see the animals that are considered more efficient and they have a lower residual feed intake. When we evaluated the population and we analyzed several traits, we found no differences in rib area, fat, body weight gain or body weight, and body condition score, and also no differences on fleece weight and fiber diameter. However, we found important differences in feed intake, methane emissions, and behavior during the test. But what happened with the animals, with the subset of animals that we worked in this study? Also, we found differences between high efficiency and low efficiency animals for feed intakes, visits to eat and visits to drink, and no differences again in rib area, back fat, body weight gain, metabolic body weight, and methane emissions. This information is consistent with previous reports studying high efficiency and low efficiency animals. Okay, going to the results of the study. Firstly, I would like to present the body weight, body condition score evaluated in 3 moments, mating, prepartum, and weaning, and then the fleece weight, fiber diameter, staple length, and then we can jump on the reproductive results. In terms of body weight, body condition score, we found no differences between high efficiency and low efficiency animals. You can see that they weighed around 45 to 50 kilos, and the body condition score was around 3 units during the year. And and I would like to highlight the fiber diameter of this wool. It is considered almost ultra fine wool, so it's high value and high quality wool. In terms of reproduction, on the right of the slide, you can see that we found no differences on fertility, which is pregnant use per mated use, on prolificacy, lambing percentage, that it is the number of lambs per mated ewe, in maternal score, that is it's a proxy for maternal ability during lambing, and then no differences for lamb production. In lamb production, it is included fertility, prolificacy, and lamb survival, and the growth of the lamb, because it's kilograms of lamb weaned per mated ewe. Summing up, so we found no differences between high efficiency and low efficiency use for productive and reproductive traits. A little bit of discussion. As I told you, these animals are grazing native grasslands all year around, so they are subjected to high variation in quantity of feed and also in quality of feed. You can see the differences in crude protein, dry matter digestibility, or even energy. So they are subjected to a potential restriction in intake. We can see that because they are in a condition score around 3 all the year round. And also we have to take into account that feed intake is highly correlated among ages. So if less efficient animals have a higher intake when they are young, we are expecting that they also have a higher intake when they are an adult ewe. However, under restricted intake, no differences have been found between residual feed intake groups, but a better performance for low residual feed intake because they have lower maintenance requirements, less fat deposition, and higher efficiency in the use of energy. On the other hand, because there is a potential restriction intake, we supplemented the animals during 2 periods of the time with high quality and quantity pastures or concentrates, and that supplementation can mask to some extent resilience or plasticity of the different animals. So we can say that maybe we were not able to detect an effect for feed efficiency on reproduction because of the restricted intake. Animals, maybe they didn't have the opportunity to show the potential reproduction. I am talking about the low efficiency animals. On the other hand, improved targeted nutrition maybe can mask a potential trade-off between feed efficiency and reproduction, or the simplest way to see the result is no effect of residual feed intake group on reproduction. Also, they have similar fat or body condition score in this kind of sheep, at least, that has been selected for wool for more than 20 years. Final comments. The preliminary result that we have is how performance will not be negatively affected by producing with more feed efficiency sheep, at least in extensive grazing conditions. And we have to acknowledge that further studies are highly recommended, and they have to include larger data sets. We evaluated just 260 animals. Also, we evaluated one moment of the life of the animal, and more information per animal would be recommended. Also, it would be nice to have a better characterization of pastures and nutrition, and if possible, to measure the adult ewe intake. And finally, maybe it would be better to have a residual feed intake and dry matter intake at the first year of life of the animal, when in grazing conditions. And finally, it will be recommended to have genetic parameters to fully understand the relationships between these traits. I would like to acknowledge my co-authors and also the project participants and the project partners of this research. Thank you very much. Ok. Para de compartir, no los veo. Hola. Ah, no pasa nada, yo estoy acostumbrado, nosotros somos así acá en la villa. Che, bueno, esa es un poco la idea. Son 15 minutos, yo no sé cuánto tiempo fue, pero debe haber andado por ahí, no mucho más.
Cumpliste.